Alright, slow starts aside, the Mario ton is looking pretty good. Sorry the reviews have been slowing down a lot this past year or two. I might do at least one more game before tackling another Mario game. But which one? Let's see here. Nights into Dreams? Tempting. I did just get a Sega Saturn. Maybe another time. Sorry, Pikmin 442. I could do the rest of Shovel Knight, but I really want the amiibos first. Nah, not the right time. I can't decide! Huh? What?
Hey, Retro, ever heard of a game called Spyro: A Hero's Tale?
Man, you're good. Let me give you a brief recap. Insomniac left the Spyro series while Universal gave it to other developers, Enter the Dragonfly was a mess, and there were a bunch of GBA games here or there. And then we've got this game, Spyro: A Hero's Tale. I don't remember playing it too much. Like most of my childhood, I'd watch my older sister play the games. I'd play them whenever I got the chance, since I freaking love video games! But I wasn't really good at them. Would you believe that there was a time when I thought Enter the Dragonfly was good?
Yeah, so did I. There may have been something wrong with our perceptions as kids, but anyways, much like how Sonic Heroes was my first introduction to the blue blur, Spyro: A Hero's Tale was my first introduction to this little purple pipsqueak. It was another game I got alongside my GameCube from my dad back in 2006. The only difference is that Sonic Heroes actually had the disc in the case when I opened it. Yeah, he had to drive all the way back to the store to get the disc for Spyro: A Hero's Tale. He did a lot for me.
You know, I think the same happened with me and Mario Galaxy.
Putting those mishaps aside, the point is that my first exposure to Spyro was with this game, and not with the original trilogy on the PS1 like most people were. In fact, I didn't actually get to play those games until way later down the line. With that in mind, you should definitely expect some bias in this review from my end.
Because Universal's decided not to give the franchise to a company who, well, here's a video explaining what happened. This time, we've got Eurocom, known for porting a few games, as well as making Crash Bash, and even porting Mortal Kombat 4 to consoles.
It's over, Jarek.
The game was publicly revealed 2 weeks before E3 2004, boasting to be 4 times bigger than Enter the Dragonfly, which shouldn't be hard to do! And then the game released 7 months later for PS2, Xbox, and GameCube. Go! The story starts with these minions placing dark gems, which, well, look at them! It's evil! Evil! And then we've got this big bad dragon called Red. What? You've never heard of him?
No.
And that's really the basic plot. The professor tells him nothing but to destroy all of the dark gems and to find the Elder Dragons to learn more about Red. Who are the Elder Dragons? I don't know. What do they know? I don't know that either.
Hey now, you don't want all the details to be revealed right away, do ya? In saying that though, the opening to this game, I will admit, just hits you like a truck and not exactly in a good way. I get the game wanting to do a bit of a show don't tell approach as opposed to how the conflict would just be told to you like in the previous games, but since this game takes a different direction in many aspects, it almost seems like there's a lack of familiarity in this opening. Not helped by the fact that it begins super abruptly with this Narc slamming a dark gem into the ground. It's only afterwards when the professor explains things to us. Well, there goes the show don't tell thing I just brought up. But I guess it sort of makes sense now. I mean, Nasty Nork is back. You had Ripto come back in the previous game, so why not? At least Nasty felt a little more warranted to return. He just kind of vanished when he was defeated. Anyways, aside from that, I do kind of like how we as the player are taking this journey of seeking out the Dragon Elders and finding out more about Red alongside Spyro. It's neat, I suppose.
Starting the game up, the game suddenly controls like Spyro. You can glide, flame, and charge. Though the flame and charge buttons have been reversed. So instead of circle to flame and square to charge, it's the other way around. This is the worst game ever. At least it doesn't matter when you're playing the GameCube version, since that controller isn't so great for Spyro games anyway.
Oh, what? Actually, you know what? I'm completely biased towards that controller.
Other than that, it controls fine enough for a Spyro game. Well, there is also this very weird issue where Spyro just spins around. I believe what's happening is when you change direction, instead of snapping to that direction, Spyro just circles around until he faces that direction. And it's always the longest way around too, so platforming can be a bit scarier since you'll never know when he's gonna do it, and it might screw you up. You can also collect these fire bombs to shoot out, well, fire bombs. I rarely use them.
There are electric, water, and ice projectiles too, but I should be mentioning first that different elemental breaths have made their return from Enter the Dragonfly. They function similarly as before, but there are some little differences here and there. For example, electricity now has a longer range than fire, but you have to hold the button for a short amount of time before you fully defeat an enemy. Replacing the bubble breath from the previous game is the new water breath. Its only real function is for activating certain objects that the developers didn't want you to just use fire or electricity breath for. You can't hurt enemies with it, but you can at least shower them while it looks like they're having a seizure on the spot.
They honestly work pretty well. They're mostly used for puzzle solving, and you can stick to one breath ability if you want, for the most part. But you have advantages and disadvantages to different breath abilities. I really like it. Though maybe a bit more encouragement would be nice, like enemies that only the fire, electricity, and ice breath can defeat. Please be good. Your main objective is to destroy all of the dark gems. Once you destroy one, the environment changes around you, and a new path may open up, or you get a collectible. And once you've destroyed all of them in one world, you get to fight the boss and move on to the next one. The little dark gems, however, they don't count. They're just for gems. Speaking of which, gems are no longer collectibles. They're just currency for you to use in Moneybag's shop. You can buy keys to open locked treasure chests, a butterfly jar just in case you lose sparks, certain upgrades like holding more keys or firebombs, and a teleport to other teleport pads, which you can also shop at, but for a small extra fee. It's very weird not having gems be a collectible, especially when there are dragon eggs and light gems to collect, but it kinda works.
Yeah, I'd say making them into a currency rather than a collectible like in the previous games was probably the right call, because the levels in this game are huge, and you'd be spending way too much time picking up individual gems if they were collectibles. It's something I think played Enter the Dragonfly a lot, so I'm glad they made the change for this game.
Huh. That is a good point. Still feels weird though.
Anyways, you were gonna mention the other collectibles?
Oh yeah, the other collectibles. The dragon eggs are just for you to earn extra stuff when you collect a whole set. And the light gems are for either opening certain doors for more collectibles, or powering up the professor's gadgets, like Supercharge, Invincibility, and a ball gadget which turns you into Super Dragon Ball. Wait, the ball gadget is fun enough. Either get to another location, or try to get the dragon egg or lights gem under a time limit. Control's alright, not much to say. He don't move though!
I was gonna go with something like Super Spyro Ball, but I guess that works too.
Super Dragon Ball, Spyro's Adventure. Instead of learning moves from moneybags, you now learn them from the Dragon Elders. You can learn the ability to double jump, head bash, swing on poles, shield yourself from certain attacks, which isn't that useful but works a whole lot better than Enter the Dragonfly, and wall jump. I wouldn't say they're all that much useful, but they're fun enough. In terms of learning about Red from them, they don't say much. Red was once an elder dragon like the others, but then turned evil and was banished or something. I'm not skimming the details, that's all you learn. He's evil? Go!
This is quite an awful shame because it kinda calls back to the first Spyro game where some of the Dragon Elders had something helpful, if not obvious, to say about what's going on. They could have turned it into something intriguing with the progress of the narrative here, learning about Red and his whole deal in bits and pieces from the Dragon Elders throughout the whole game, but you don't learn anything besides that he's bad and he betrayed his fellow brethren. At least Spyro can add a bit of humor to these interactions.
And once again, the minigames are back. Kind of. Sort of. Well, there are other playable characters, and they kinda serve as the minigames. Spyro really only gets two. The ball gadget and the turret minigame, which is the exact same each and every time. Shoot the enemies down until you get them all, make sure they don't get to tins. It's fine, but it gets boring really fast.
Well, except for the one in the second world, strangely enough, because it's got quite a sudden difficulty spike. You have to help these baby turtles make it to the ocean by fending off crows and crabs that are trying to take them away, but they start showing up in bulk very quickly, and if you're not fast enough to stop them before they grab the turtles, while also fighting off new enemies arriving on the scene, then you will lose.
There's Sergeant Bird who replaces the speedway levels and... Holy crap, they're good! They're good! They can be hard, but they're so good! So you get all the tins while using your rockets and bombs. Sergeant Bird controls a lot differently from Spyro when he flies in the previous games. You've got jetpacks, so you've got to fly a little differently. Not to mention, unlike the other games where the items are usually lined up, that's not the case here. They're all spread out pretty far, and you've really got to explore around all under a time limit. Retro liked this a lot. Season of Ice, it's not.
You also have homing missiles that can target and hit things from afar, as well as bombs that you can drop down below you, making it quite a lot easier to hit enemies and targets than in the speedways in the previous games. There's also a pickup that lets you boost around faster for a limited amount of time, which helps when looking around since, like it was mentioned before, things are pretty spread out in these areas.
Then there's Sparks with his auto-rail shooter, just like Star Fox, right down to the boosting, breaking, and even the smart bombs. But it's a bit too easy to die. You've got 3 or 4 hits, and then dead. Back to the start. And there aren't really any invincibility frames or anything like that. There are butterflies to bring your health up, but still. Man!
Since you're moving automatically, you really have to use everything you have in order to succeed. Even then, there are times where it feels like it's impossible to not get hit, like with these falling rocks. You can use this weird lunge move that jolts you forward quickly, but it's no guarantee. You also have to take care of enemies while you're doing all this, because some of them, like these lizards that I hate, will hit you no matter what if you try to pass by. God, this is probably the worst minigame out of them all for me.
Then we have Blink the Mole, a newcomer to the series. He can shoot lasers, throw bombs, and climb on certain floating rocks. Your objective here is to
destroy all the dark gems
by using your bombs. It's not too bad, especially with those checkpoints if you happen to die. However, I hate those rocks! Okay, maybe I'm over-exaggerating, but these rocks suck. When you climb onto them and then want to jump off, half of the time, you can't see where you're going to land. So prepare to die to them bottomless pits underwater. And it doesn't help that you can't move about when hanging onto these side rocks. It's a lot of guessing.
Also not helped by the fact that Blink doesn't come to an immediate stop when you let go of the joystick, making landing on platforms feel uncertain. Like you mentioned earlier, you need bombs to destroy these small dark gems, but making sure your bombs are close enough so they'll destroy the gems and waiting for them to explode gets repetitive, especially when you're doing the ones that require you to destroy 10 of these things. And while yes, there are checkpoints, thank God, the levels are pretty spread out later on, and dying can sometimes send you back very far. I like this minigame because of the challenge, but I can see many people skipping out on this one out of frustration.
And finally, there's Hunter, who technically doesn't have a minigame. He's another playable character with some small sections. He can shoot his arrows and climb certain walls, and that's about it. He's slow. Well, all of them are really, but he controls decently enough. And at least I can give these Arrow Norks a taste of their own medicine. Seriously, these guys are the worst. They have spot on accuracy and they shoot pretty fast. Unless you get to them first, you're gonna take a hit or two. Sorry, I just needed to rant about this dude. They're all pretty good. Some of them have flaws of various kinds, but they don't really hinder the game. If anything, they're mostly optional. Except for Hunt and Spyro, for the most part. When you beat the mission, you get a Dragon Egg. But then you're given the option to try a harder version for a Light Gem. Why not have the Light Gem first, then the Dragon Egg? There's little reason to get the egg, so why not have the more important item first, then the extra if you want to... Do you want to try for a Dragon Egg? I feel like things are moving too fast in this relationship!
Yeah, I agree. It should have been the other way around. I feel like people get their fill of these minigames the first time and don't even want to bother with doing them again, but longer and harder.
The bosses are... fine, I guess. Gotta hit their weakness 9 times till they die. Nothing special. Screw Red's first fight and them ice physics.
Yeah, honestly, this should have been the final boss with how cheap this dude is and how the later fight with the mecha version of him is much easier. For like 3 out of the 4 bosses, you'll find yourself circling around them while they stand in the middle and occasionally throw something at you until they leave themselves open. Though I do like how the Nasty Nork and the first red fight incorporate the elemental abilities that you'll get after beating them.
They have this weird thing where after 3 hits, they say you've defeated them. Then you keep battling. And 3 more hits, you've defeated them again. What? Who wrote the dialogues?
Thank you for releasing me, Spyro.
Why?
Thank you for releasing me.
Would you get out of here? I do like how after defeating them, you get a new breath ability. Visually, the game is suddenly unique compared to the previous games. Okay, maybe not that unique, but I like the art style it's going for, leaning in a little more towards that medieval feeling, which does, unfortunately, lose a bit of its majestic feeling here and there. And I especially love how big these worlds feel. There are no levels of any kind. Each part of our world are connected to each other, which really makes this land so amazing to explore. Sure, there are a few areas where you have to wait between travels, but that's a loss I'm willing to take. Screw the sky level, where the heck do I go? And I like each different environment. There's the waterfalls, the beaches, the icy world, the swamps, and the skies despite not knowing where to go. The game does occasionally lag, at least on the GameCube version. There is that. Nothing major, but it can happen sometimes.
That aside, the game overall runs pretty smoothly, keeping a mostly consistent 60 frames per second, and combined with the visuals that I find to be very colorful and smooth, as well as having the Jak and Daxter-like real-time transitions between areas, this game really holds up presentation-wise compared to others from this generation. I think it's all really great.
There's one weird thing about this game. The faces. Sometimes they look a little cross-eyed, or they just can't keep their eyes open all the way. It looks like everyone was up all night trying to figure out why Warner Bros. Wants to sell the Coyote vs. Acme movie to the IRS. What is wrong with you guys? Wait, the movie is saved? Huh. Okay, that's good. Still, screw Warner Bros. The Xbox version is backwards compatible with the 360. And while it is nice to see the game in a higher resolution with damn widescreen, the emulation isn't the greatest. There's a lot of black dots and lines, the game really lags on the ball gadget areas, and the save screen goes completely black when trying to save the game. So it's really hard to recommend this. The voice acting is pretty good. Shout out to the dude otter.
Dude, 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 dude.
Replacing Tom Kenny as the voice of Spyro, this time we've got Jess Harnell, who did Crash Bandicoot in the Insane Trilogy and Crash of the Titans, and the plumber from the Ratchet & Clank series after the PlayStation 2. Michael J. Gorge, the voice of Nasty Nork in every single game. And this guy who I refuse to attempt to pronounce his name, who did Sparks in all of the games except for the Legend of Spyro trilogy. And I'll get to that soon. Oh, I will.
Call me biased because this was my first Spyro game, but a small part of me prefers Jess Harnell's performance as Spyro over Tom Kenny's from the previous games. I don't know, they've made Spyro a bit more sassy and sarcastic in this game, and I think Jess Harnell captures that really well with his take on the Purple Dragon. All the other voices are great too. They fit in real well with the sort of writing this game has, which we'll get to in a bit.
I like the music too. Since Stuart Copeland didn't return to do this game because of this one freaking commercial.
Hope that purple dragon don't come back. Don't come back.
Wow. The music was outsourced, and the result we got was not Spyro-like, but I like the new direction. Sometimes happy and bouncy, other times wonder and mystery, and some nice renditions of the game's main theme.
Oh man, real talk, as if we weren't already having that. I love the soundtrack for this game. I do think there is a bit too many references to the main theme littered throughout the OST, but man, there are some bangers. The majesticness of Dragonfly Falls, the aquatic mysteriousness of Sunken Ruins, and dude, have you heard Blink's minigame music? Don't even get me started on Dark Mine, which has parts that sound like it's straight out of Ratchet and Clank.
If there's one thing that kind of falls flat, it's the story. Or rather, lack of. There's not much here. Stop Red and destroy the Dark Gems. That's about it. Don't get me wrong, the previous games didn't have much for stories either, but I feel like for this game, they wanted to tell some sort of a story, but they ran out of time. Who are the Elder Dragons? Maybe show a bit more of Red turning evil. What exactly are the Dark Gems? Why does the Professor know about Red? Better yet, who are these two dragons? One is some sort of love interest, who we see once or twice and never again, and the other is a red Spyro. He was stuck in Nasty's lair until you freed him, and you don't see him again. Why even bother? I don't know, maybe it's just me. Guess it's way better than that.
I agree. The story barely gives any explanation of itself. I mean, the thing I was mentioning earlier with learning about Red from the Dragon Elders was pretty much dropped after a certain point in the game. Anything story-wise just takes a back seat to the comedy.
Speaking of which, I do kind of like the humor though. Just a little bit. I have a soft spot for it.
Relax, buddy. Spyro's still alive. I know, because if he weren't, we'd be going back to a previous save. I rock.
It is childish humor, so not that funny, but Baldy McNosehead made me laugh, okay? By the way, I just realized that this dragon is called Mrs. Shoutfire. Brilliant.
This game's writing plays off of its self-awareness that it is indeed a video game. Maybe not to the levels of something like Rayman 3 or Crash to Insanity, but there are a few that did give me a chuckle. An example would be with the Dragon Elder at the beginning, sounding like he's about to ramble on giving exposition about Red, and then asking about getting straight to the point on how to destroy the Dark Gems to Spyro's relief.
I'd tell you the whole story, but I'm old and I take a really long time to tell stories. So, how about I just tell you how to destroy the Dark Gems instead?
Whew, close one. Yeah, do that.
These bits of humor are scattered throughout the game, and I honestly think it's fun.
As for the ending, well, there's not much to say. Wait, what? Is that Mario? I mean, I like how the level goes from a shipwreck to a volcano, and then a secret lair. Kinda neat. Before starting this world though, the professor said he went in after Red, which is stupid. And surprise, surprise, he got caught and was forced to turn all the enemies into robots. And then we fight a big robot Red. Then we defeat him, he's now small, and the game just ends. There's no, well, everything's back to normal. It's not a very strong finale, honestly.
100% doesn't give you anything better either. You just get to see all the Dragon Elders giving commentary like they were watching a movie the whole time. They give a few jabs at the game, but then it just ends like that. Sure, this isn't Mario Sunshine levels of bad 100% rewards, but it is still pretty underwhelming.
And that's Spyro: A Hero's Tale. What do we think of it?
Well, it definitely has a few issues that makes me understand why this game isn't looked upon as kindly as the original trilogy, like the annoying mini-games and lackluster story, but in saying that, man, the things that are good about this game, which are quite a number of things, are done really, really well. Spyro controls really well, the levels are fun to explore, the music, voice acting, and overall sound design is top-notch, and the game looks and runs spectacularly, making it hold up quite well for a game from this era. The problems are present, don't get me wrong, but what Spyro game doesn't have its issues? I still consider this to be my favorite Spyro game, and I think it's gonna stay that way. What about you?
Is it better than the trilogy? No. But it's just as good as them, which is honestly something I wish I could say for the other Spyro games. It has its own differences, but they're used very well, and the essence of Spyro is still there. Sure, it could be a lot better, and you can easily tell it was rushed, but I still enjoyed a lot more than I was expecting. It looks and sounds really good, I love how open it is, some of the characters range from okay to heck yeah! And it kinda reminds me of Mario 2 USA. It's very different, but it still feels like a genuine Mario game. Yokom did a good job with this one. If you can find a copy, I'd say give it a try. Maybe not on the 360 though.
And with that, thank you so much for having me here again, but if you'll excuse me, I've got some more work to cry over. See ya.
Bye-bye, Space Potato. Little Space Bud. Spider Spud. Spider and the mashed potato. Little dude in the mashed potato world. Wait, is this still recording? Hey everyone, thanks for watching this video. Been wanting to get this one done for a while, but hey, it's done and I think it came out pretty good. If you liked it, please like, comment, subscribe. Share this with everybody you know and love. Follow me on Twitter, Blue Sky, and if you want to, support me on Patreon. And don't forget to check out the Mashed Potato Dude. He is a really cool guy. And yeah, next review will definitely be a Mario game. Sorry, I just wanted to get this one out of the way. Had fun editing and all that, and it was kind of nice finding out my opinions with this game. Not much to say, sorry about how slow these reviews are, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.